What's up guys, Kevin Cage here with another XRP update. So every once in a while I have a video that I am just beyond excited to do. This here is one of them. I hope you guys enjoy, and keep in mind this is a game of chess, not checkers. Let's dive in. So I want to start this video off showing you guys a few must-see clips of Antoinette, formerly at Ripple as CCO, then becomes head of compliance over at Polysign, and this is an older clip of her speaking as head of compliance at Polysign at the International Monetary Fund. And keep in mind, they don't let just anybody go and speak at the IMF. We know that the World Bank has also praised ODL back in the day, formerly called XRP. This is not all a coincidence. This is a game of chess, not checkers. So let's look into her network, look at her LinkedIn, and then we're going to show these video clips that I want you to listen to because it is so relevant now to what we know about the privacy features on the XRP ledger. It is all coincidence until it is not, so let's listen up. So first off, what is Polysign? Well, we're already familiar with them. You can learn more at polysign.io. This is essentially a Ripple-funded initiative that is arguably going to be massive. It is already in production, I believe. There's tons of NDAs. Us minnows are really not meant to know and understand what this means. But keep in mind, they're developing a state-of-the-art, secure, scalable infrastructure for financial institutions to fully leverage their digital assets. Arguably, we know that the money has already been flowing in, but we have a long, long way to go because we understand the future valuations are going to be measured way higher than just a mere few trillion, so keep that in mind. So really quick, just to look at the power team, Silicon Valley meets Wall Street. Of course, we have the founder of the XRP ledger, essentially one of the founders, Arthur Brito, the man, the myth, the legend, and the ghost. We have David Schwartz, CTO of Ripple, and we also have Antoinette here, previously CCO at Ripple. She was a former independent consultant at Promontory Financial Group, aka the Shadow Regulator, and following 15 years in traditional banking at some of the largest banks in the world, like MUFG and HSBC. Two of the largest banks in the world, and oh yeah, they're both RippleNet partners. Coincidence? No, there's a method to the madness. We know that HSBC, JP Morgan, and then even Citi are some of the three banks that essentially monopolize 80% of all cross-border transfers. Seems like the perfect partners for Ripple to partner with, or essentially even potentially even disrupt. I know I view Ripple as more of an enabler of value rather than a disruptor. But I know there's plenty of narratives, so believe what you wish, and I will do the same. We also have Jack Mcdonald here, legends of the industry in terms of global custodians. He was inducted, so UBS, also RippleNet. And we have Tim Keeney, vice chairman, no big deal, of BNY Mellon. And yes, this is RippleNet, no coincidence. We already are familiar with the stories of Matthew Mellon as well. And right here, he led an organization of 25,000 people that was responsible for custodying 25% of global institutional assets. Do you think this is coincidental? I do not. And that the rest is up to you. So we're going to look at her background, and I want to show you some clips because they're just mind-boggling when you look at all of this. And this is just a few of the things that I consider and why I'm not letting go of my XRP. I own, tons of assets. It's kind of frustrating because XRP is sitting sideways, but my portfolio has gone up exponentially. I can't even comprehend it. And I'm not about to let go of XRP when I'm looking forward to leveraging that with Flare in the future, providing liquidity and developing a passive income. So Antoinette, Chief Compliance Officer over at Polysign Inc. We can see right here, PFG is discussed. You can see HSBC, Union Bank. You can see her background right here. And she was also Chief Compliance Officer at Ripple for 3 years and 4 months, and then Chief Compliance Officer for Polysign for the past 2 years. Now, this is an hour-and-a-half video clip right here. This will actually be linked. It is all linked thanks to Mickey B. Fresh. I will link him in the top of this video description, guys. Give him a follow on Twitter. I'm certain you should be following him on YouTube if you are not already. And he's just a phenomenal researcher. I did, in fact, watch this hour-and-a-half video clip. We're just going to show you a few key things that I want to show you. And also, Mickey B. was gracious enough to provide this last year. He did in fact tag me in this with a few other people, so thank you, sir. But I just want to break into it really quick. We're not going to play every single clip unless it's relevant, but let's dive into this one. So head of compliance at Polysign speaking at the International Monetary Fund about cryptocurrency, central bank digital currency, security, as well as custody. If the assets are not secure and can't be held, the institutional money's not going to be flowing in here or even involved in the digital asset space. Multi-sig stands for multi-signature ceremony right here. Polysign is huge for RippleNet, Interledger, bridging all of these ledgers, and the XRP ledger. So let's listen to this clip.
Multi-sig software solutions to hold their funds. They want to have a qualified custodian to protect and safeguard their assets. Central banks wishing to issue their own digital currency will have to give serious consideration to custody solutions. How are they going to maintain and safeguard those funds from attack? You need a sophisticated multi-sig ceremony, and when I say a ceremony, I really do mean it is a ceremony amongst many, many people with a very sophisticated key generation mechanism. It's not a trivial matter. And possibly maybe using something kind of escrow solution that Ripple, similar to the one Ripple announced in late 2017. So many people with a very sophisticated key generation mechanism. It's not a trivial matter. And possibly maybe using something kind of escrow solution that Ripple, similar to the one Ripple announced in late 2017.
Words mean things. All right, now let's go to the next one right here. Of course, Mickey B just highlighting her on over on LinkedIn, so we can see that she was speaking at the IMF, of course, private crypto assets and central bank issued digital currency. Now, so funny that all of this comes out, you know, back then, and then we see what came out recently, such as, remember, what was it, a week ago, when Flare Networks even liked the tweet regarding the XRP community asking, remember Logos Network in the DeFi space, all these acquisitions, you guys acquired the firm Algram in terms of building a trading platform, all of this from such a long time ago. I was doing videos on it, many people were, like several years ago at this point, and just a few things that I consider, plus the new privacy feature announced for the XRP ledger for central banks. Oh, and of course the World Bank praising ODL, which was called XRapid back then, but nobody discusses these things anymore. So very, very interesting, all right? Now we'll go right here. You can see just listed, just kind of showing the website, polysign.io. Right here, their third generation. I think words mean things. I love how much Mickey highlights all of this. Mentioning Arthur Brito, David Schwartz in blockchain technology, and this is proprietary, so very interesting. Talking about their background, good, so we already covered that. Now, listen to this. We're going to rewind it right here.
Off-ledger exchanges. Cryptocurrency exchanges are typically, they trade off-ledger, meaning they trade off of the blockchain. They have their own private ledger, their own private database, and their customers trade on that database. They can jump on and off the protocol, but they're generally doing it on a private ledger. So market manipulation practices that we see in traditional markets today are also happening in cryptocurrency markets, but maybe many would say at an accelerated pace. They're often conducted on private databases, and central banks would have to consider that as well. Are you going to allow for off-ledger trading of the digital currency that is issued by central banks? Let me just...
And so what they understand is you can't put the genie back in the bottle, guys. The XRP ledger is one of just a few examples that has a natural or inherent decentralized exchange, DEX, also known as a DEX. So very interesting. Of course, they cannot just ignore this technology. It's going to happen with or without them. So I think that these governments, the powers that be, so to speak, I think that they'd want to maintain at least some control. Of course, corporations, it's only logical, and I'm not talking about conspiracy. They're going to value some privacy features. There's going to be open source technologies that are interoperable with some closed networks, some open networks, and then some that are just maybe not completely centralized, but not entirely decentralized, maybe just more a bit distributed. So it makes sense to me. I don't think that's crazy, and it's already happening today. Okay. And also, this is another example. What happened lately with GameStop? Essentially paying out money that didn't exist, shorting money that didn't exist. This is just one of the many reasons why groups like R3 are partnered with NASDAQ. We see that other groups are partnered with the London Stock Exchange, even the New York Stock Exchange, and the connections to ICE and Bakkt. It's not a coincidence. This is because blockchain and crypto is much more than just funny internet money. You're going to be able to own the protocol. There's going to be control mechanisms, governance and voting, security, you name it. And this is going to change everything forever. At least the assets that survive will thrive. There's no in between. And I believe that XRP will be one of them. 62 million ledgers successfully closed without a single error for years and years and years. Central banks are not going to just pick some random asset that's been here for a year that's done well. They're going to pick something that has been tried and true. You know how conservative central banks are. So we just have to think logically here in which groups are one of the few that has already done $2 billion plus in payment flows cross-border or internationally. XRP with on-demand liquidity already used by financial institutions and already used with proof of concepts by some of the largest central banks in even 2016. This is a game of chess, not checkers. People can be distracted. They can follow the typical media, but I will not be, and that is just my personal choice, and this is not financial advice. Now, listen to this next clip.
Very interesting piece here, stock exchange companies today have departments of people that are responsible for the collection and understanding of information about companies whose stocks are traded on their exchange. That's to reduce the likelihood of some kind of financial fraud, back in the days of Enron, WorldCom, that type of thing. In contrast, proper curation of crypto is sorely lacking. We do not have that today. Traditional stock trading companies are subjected to rigorous review of their finances and trading capabilities before they're allowed to trade on stock exchanges or before they're allowed to link their internal trading systems to a stock exchange order matching engine. That is not the case with cryptocurrency today. With crypto, your prices can fluctuate between exchanges all over the world. Again, not so with your traditional stock trading. And as we covered earlier on the blockchain, there are no third parties available to help you re-establish ownership of your stocks should you lose your secret key. There is no DTCC, there is no broker-dealer to help you.
Okay, so remember, the DTCC, of course, their former president or CEO joined and was head of RippleNet, or the Global Payment Steering Group. Not a coincidence, and yes, they process quadrillions of dollars per year. Just Google the DTCC, of course. And right when Ripple was already working, doing all the proof of concepts with some of the world's central banks, the DTCC has been quoted to say, "We were the Federal Reserve before there was a Fed." Not a coincidence. And then she even talks about different prices on different exchanges. Well, this is where, of course, even oracles are important, because if the oracles are not decentralized and distributed accurately, then the blockchain is still relatively centralized, because it's getting even price feeds, for this example, from a biased source. Just like the news, or if there's even Internet of Thing capabilities in the future that are connected with blockchain, or one of my favorite cryptos, DAG Constellation Networks, part of the Mobi initiative with Quant and Ripple, of course, in autonomous vehicles and working with the DoD. Some of these things, if they all only trust, Amazon Web Services, it's centralized. There's counterparty risk. There's an issue. So we need to distribute these systems. It's just so clear. I think in 5 years, 10 years, we're going to look back and go, how did we not see this coming? And those that do are going to capitalize massively off this. All right. So anyways, last clip, 20 seconds. Bear with me. This is such good information. Thank you, Mickey B. Fresh. You can follow him here, Mr. Fresh Time. Listen to this.
There are various different ways of doing it. The main thing here is that cryptocurrency trading and cryptocurrency exchanges are largely unregulated today. So the market manipulation practices that happen in today's stock markets are happening maybe times 10 in cryptocurrency markets. Everybody's taking full advantage of it until we have regulation surrounding it. And my very last slide here, close. There are various different...
Very interesting, of course. We're seeing this everywhere, very rampant. Now, a few things that he highlights as well. So it seems that Interledger FX Inc. was the original name for Polysign. Remember, guys, Interledger in the foreign exchange market, this is powerful. We're talking about $5 trillion a day. Swift already does $5 trillion a day. This is the big boy money. This is looking to change the game. And Arthur Brito, just a few things to consider before you think this is too good to be true, is he developed... Remember, XRP, they called it Ripples. They called it the Ripple protocol back in the day, of course, because it was this whole suite that they wanted to ripple through payments and essentially create and bring in this new Internet of Value instead of this Internet of Information, IOV. And what he said was, well, we want enough XRP for every single person, or the 7 billion or 6 billion or 5 billion population it was back then. I know we're growing quickly now. But it's just so interesting. Even their plans years ago, and I know this is not now, but years ago, their plan was to even distribute XRP or Ripples through a population of India to try to incentivize some network adoption. When you know these things, it just seems very, very peculiar. So it sounds a lot like a currency exchange. Yes, I agree. The XRP ledger is an on-ledger foreign exchange real-time gross settlement system currency exchange. Just a reminder for everybody. Thank you, Mickey. So we have Arthur Brito right here, president of Interledger. So you guys can see this. Back in Oakland, Cali, you guys can see even the patents back in the day, their old registrations. These are the court records. So I remember when he was posting this and we were already going over this. But I just wanted to re-show because I think a lot of people have joined, unfortunately, since that recent XRP pump a few months ago with the pump group. And I just want people to really be informed on what they hold. And you guys decide what you want to do with that information. Me personally, I've seen too much. I'm not going anywhere. And I'll still hold and invest and discuss other cryptos. But I just want people to at least not lose sight of the horizon. If they want to sell and chase gains, that's fine. You have my empathy. But I'm not going anywhere. So the Interledger FX front end will feature charting, live updates, both web and mobile components. Just very, very cool how much working they were doing. Producing a world-class service, mobile apps, okay? And last but not least, right here. So these are quotes from Bob Way from 2019. Who's Bob Way? He was one of the first Ripple employees. He was doing interviews with a lot of people in the XRP community. I loved it. Since then, though, since the XRP community got very, very big, I know he's been taking time off and has kind of disappeared behind the scenes. But I've always thought that he's known so much more than he's letting on. Particularly because of what's been happening lately. But you guys decide for yourselves. So right here, he goes, I think Polysign, and these were in like video interviews as well with Alex Cobb, Brad Kimes, you guys name it, so highly recommend it. I think Polysign is really big for the XRP ledger and interledger protocol, RippleNet components as well. I'm not sure what features they've implemented for working with other coins or contract code. All right. Right here, keeping that money safe requires scrupulous security practice related to XRP ledger secrets and IOP transaction signing keys. The multisig, the rotation, it's very powerful stuff. Mentioning gateways, talking about gate hubs, talking about Ripple China. Remember, Ripple was already with the Central Bank of China in 2017. Meeting with even, the Trump administration years ago. Oh, and even the Obama administration years ago had a DLT group that was focused on DLT, obviously, but we don't consider that because everybody is focusing on the name brand recognition of some of the big assets. And by the time they're talking and trying to sell you Bitcoin at 60K to 100K, I'm not biting that. I don't listen to mainstream radio. I don't watch mainstream news. That's not my style. Up to you guys. So XRP Ledger's multi-sign feature concepts apply to ILP components. Polysign is an institutional solution for managing multi-sign keys for authorizing and signing a high volume of XRP Ledger and ILP-based transactions. You tell me, if you guys know basic understanding of at least token economics in this space, what happens when the volume is turned up on the ledger and of course the demand is limited, or the supply is limited, excuse me. Well, demand increases and over time it pushes the order book up of the price. There's so many FUD points that have been smashed time and time again by some of the smartest minds in the space, people that are experts in the space, that have done the whole Bitcoin code from scratch and have developed XRP. So I don't really know what to tell people. They say, oh, XRP is too fast now to appreciate in value. You have to be kidding me. There's always statistically a net overlap when transactions are going at a high volume. And what happens when there's a net overlap? It means that there's a reduction in supply, which increases the demand. And once it happens, it's a snowball down the hill. So up to you guys, but I'm just saying, Ripple even came out with their volume projections for ODL, talking about 750 billion in the years ahead, the crypto market targeting 10 to 12 trillion as a global market cap in the future. And that, in my mind, is still incredibly conservative. So you guys do you, I will do me, but I want to share this information. I'm just beyond excited for what's to come. All right, and then right here, Polysign has created a system that implements those best practices. XRP Ledger, talking about even atomic swaps in central banks, it's game over. Now there's a few things I want to show you as well, and then we'll call it a day here. So we got right here. Now, this is the final clip, and then we'll probably just call it a day. So we have Mickey B. Fresh. Ripple has been monitoring and running surveillance on the XRP Ledger since 2015 as part of the agreement with FinCEN. Keep in mind, they called it a virtual currency in 2015. The Department of Justice. The SEC was already meeting with Ripple. We're talking, 2019. What did David say? The last 4 years. So say from 2015 to present. They've been meeting with the SEC. I even know, and I've heard them, say that they still had to get their ducks in the row and give paperwork and, audits and all of that to the SEC early on. This is about the escrow and the executives' holdings. I think XRP's finally, I hope it's going to finally get clarity. This ambiguity is what essentially holds the price down. It's the glass ceiling that I believe will get smashed. So right here, and of course, Mickey B has this whole link right here. It's the 1.5-hour video if you guys want to go watch that right here.
Ripple Labs, as an example I brought up earlier, in 2015 Ripple was subject to an enforcement action from FinCEN and the Department of Justice for anti-money laundering violations that were conducted back in 2013. One of the stipulations under that settlement agreement was that Ripple Labs, a company, conduct transaction monitoring and reporting of transactions that are conducted on XRP Ledger, a blockchain. Now, Ripple Labs does not own or operate XRP Ledger, and Ripple Labs does not have anything to do with any of the other entities that connect to that blockchain, with the exception of Ripple subsidiary entities. Ripple does have a financial institution subsidiary, a company that sells cryptocurrency to wholesale buyers. But apart from that, it does not know any of the other entities on this blockchain, nor does it have anything whatsoever to do with it. So, Ripple Labs.
Funny. And then we go back in time, of course, and remember the SEC wanting to actually run a node on the XRP ledger. So they were already being audited years ago and providing all this information years ago, step by step. Then I showed you the David Schwartz clip that is also on my Instagram saying we've been meeting with you guys almost every week for the last several years. And then you come to us 4 years later and say what we were doing was illegal. No, guys, you have to think critically. This is much bigger than that. This is just some type of political play. I'm not going to pretend I know exactly what's going on, but it's definitely bigger than what we can think, at least, or what we perceive. So very interesting. Now, hour and a half clip. Jamil K's followed this guy. He's been providing some great information, especially for newcomers. So Jam and K's right here, just showing David Mills, the Federal Reserve Board Associate Director. We remember all the old, even Ripple insights that this gentleman is providing and discussing about Ripple and XRP, talking about the foreign exchange market. These are people that are on the Federal Reserve Board, people. It's not just, opinions on YouTube. So I want you guys to consider this. Funny enough, there's been some insights articles that it went missing, and they were with David Mills. I had videos on them maybe in 2019, I believe. So just interesting. Of course, we have Jess Chang. She speaks a little slow in this video. That's not my style because I like to speak very fast, or I try to. Federal Reserve, she's at the IMF. Oh yeah, and she was at Ripple before that. Chess, not checkers, as you can see right here on her. You can go to her LinkedIn if you want. And we can just kind of scroll through this. She's at the Federal Reserve Board now, I believe, since January 2020. Let me see if memory serves. Yep. So senior counsel on the Federal Reserve Board. Back then, she was also counsel at the IMF. Oh, and then before that, she was the deputy general counsel at Ripple for 2.5 years. Do you see what is happening here? You can look at Marjan Delatine. You can look at all these smart people that are strategically going in places. We have Dilip Rao, who is retired global head of infrastructure. He's an advisor for FlashFX. And of course, what did FlashFX announce like days ago? That they're building new on-demand liquidity corridors. Wow. All right. Let me see if there's anything else. I want to talk about this in the next video. I want to break this down and kind of go into it more. This is Thalworth R. Follow him if you do not already. Just talking about XRP. I'm just beyond excited. And let me see if there's any other rants that I want to talk about. Overall in the space, guys, if you are a long-term holder, do not look at the 30-minute charts you're going to get in your head. If you're supposed to be a long-term holder, even the 4-hour, I just stick to the weekly and monthly time frames. Look at the trends. Trends are your friends. When in doubt, zoom out. If you look at those short time frames, you're going to get driven and taken over by emotions. I'm speaking from experience. And yes, there's been so many assets I talked about. Terra Luna is one of my big holdings. And I took profits too early, missed out on probably closer to over now $3 million today, I believe. I'll have to go calculate it. But taking profits too early, it sucks. But so does not taking any profits at all. So have a plan, stick to it. And my personal choice is at least holding 20%, maybe even 50% if I can afford to do so, of my XRP for life. So I'm using my other alts to take profit. I'm using my trading bag to, of course, accumulate, add to my US dollar position, add to my long-term holds that I like, some of which have become very, very expensive. So I'm really trying to attack the other guys that have not gone. Some of the mainstream cryptos that you guys, know of, I've been kind of just dollar cost averaging into Zcash, ZEC. That's another one I want to point out, because I just think it has tremendous upside if it does in fact follow the bull cycle. I know tons of people are already talking about that one for good reason. It's a long time standing crypto asset. So Zcash, ZEC, it's available on Binance US, whatever you want. But look into these assets. Don't just buy them or anything that I'm talking about. I want you guys to fully understand them. Look at the chart, look at the fundamentals. When you combine that, you have a recipe for success. All right. Overall, investing, one of the most lucrative ways to build wealth, thanks to compounding interest, but it is also the most boring and it does require the most patience. So just keep that in mind. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I will catch you in the next video.